My name is Kenneth Thompson. I'm the CEO of Dalex Finance and Leasing Company Limited. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. I trained with Hacker Young. Hacker Young is one of the 10th largest accounting firms in the UK. I did a lot of things. I worked with Barclays before I came back to Ghana. And I'm also a graduate of the Ghana Business School. My family is very important to me, and at the pivot, at the heart of it all, is my mum. I've got some of my siblings, my wife. I have a lot of cousins that are not here. We're a very, very strong family. And I also have been very interested in the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King. Last year at this same event, I was invited to talk about the Ghana cedi. And at the time, the cedi was $2 cedi, 50 pesos to $1. And I said the cedi was going to fall. And I also said that the Bank of Ghana measures would not work and had to be reversed. In the end, the cedi it went up, it fell, it went to nearly 4. Then came back to 3.3, and now it's going up again. So I was moderately successful, because at least those who had more of a direct contact with the heavens were saying, let the cedi rise. And I said, let the cedi fall. And I said the cedi was going to fall. And we'll come back to the cedi because I used a very, a well-known but very simple mechanic to show why the cedi was overvalued. This evening, I'm going to do some crystal ball gazing. I have a lot of experience from my association with the gypsies in Europe. Some people call it witchcraft. Other people call it scientific. But the most important thing is I make these predictions based on information that is available to everybody. I'm not an economist. I'm not an economist by training. I'm an accountant. If you stay close to me enough, I can put you on a spreadsheet. But I'm not an economist. Yeah, if you stay close to me enough, I'll put you on a spreadsheet. I can make a spreadsheet say anything I like. And all the information I have and use is based on information that is publicly available. I'm not an economist. When I look into the crystal ball, so now we're going to move into looking at the crystal ball. When I look into the crystal ball, I see a village. And in that village, I see a cluster of huts. There's a family that lives within this cluster of huts, and they've been living there for generations. They have a 2-acre cocoa farm. They have a 2-acre cocoa farm, which they've been farming for a long time. They found some gold, which they leased the land to a Chinese man to mine. And they've recently found oil. In that village, only 3 people work. The rest of the people spend their time, they hold funerals, they marry, they buy trinkets, they generally have a good time. And then also, some of the people steal some of the money. For me, that is Ghana. This evening, I'll talk about 3 things that affect business decisions, will affect business decisions in 2005-15. I'll look at Ghana government debt. That may scare you. I'll talk about IMF. That may maybe give you some relief. And then I'll look at our favorite subject, the Ghana cedi, who probably may take you to the closest forex bureau. Ghana government debt. In the Kingdom of Ghana, they've been living above their means for a very long time. And everybody knows. They have a system where you borrow food based on the next year's harvest. But they don't pay their debts. So nobody is lending them any food now. So now they borrow from loan sharks very, 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 very far from the village. Ghana is broke. And please, when you quote this, don't say Ken Thompson said Ghana was broke. I've got to be very careful. These are figures produced by the Monetary Policy Committee. Ghana is broke. If you earn 1,000 cedis, and you spend 1,200 cedis, you are broke. Ghana is broke, so says the government of Ghana. I'll show you some of the figures. This is issued by BOG. It's got nothing to do with Kenneth Thompson. Revenue, 17 billion. Expenditure, 24 billion. Payroll, 43%, I'm rounding up. So between payroll and interest, it's consuming 70% of our income, of our budget. And that is before you make any deductions any statutory deductions for NHIS, for Get Fund, for the District Assembly's Common Fund. Ghana is broke. And it's not as if we've been broke just last year. We've been broke for a long time. I apologize to any of the ladies here, but it always reminds me of, that young girl who goes to Dubai, is shopping, is buying things on credit. The people come to the office, is buying things on credit. Shop, it has no money. We are broke. Look at last year. So 2013, income 14 billion, expenditure 21 billion. You are broke. I mean, I don't know which language to put it in, but you are broke. And our behavior has not changed. We have been living above our means for years. I was reading an article about Ghana economic history, and the colonial government actually only spent 10% of our GDP on expenditure. That was it. But we've got to a point now where the Ghana government debt is unsustainable. Per the government's own figures, it is hoping to borrow twice as much between January and December this year as it borrowed last year. And then, so this year, our borrowing between January and June is twice as much as we borrowed over the same period last year. And that was before the oil price crashed. And, when after the crash, the oil price fell, there was a lot of hoo-ha of whether or not the government should transfer the fall in price to consumers. In any case, what happens? The small saving that was made, the government promptly gave it to 10% of the population. It gave it to civil servants. Civil servants are only 10% of our population. Sometimes we like to look at debt to GDP ratio for whatever it's worth, and at 60%, they say it's unsustainable. When we talk about debt to GDP, people say, but look at America. But why are we comparing to America? America, they own the currency, the dollar. At 60% debt to GDP ratio is unsustainable. But in my crystal ball, the indiscipline will continue. So far, all I hear is if miss, gift miss, X mix. The software won't solve the problem. It's not a software problem. And the government will continue to borrow domestically to finance its spending. But for those of us in the private sector, this is what is so critical, so serious. The government is crowding us out. The government has to make the price at which it is borrowing, it has to keep pushing it higher and higher. So, well, the banks don't give you money anyway. Maybe you may come to an NBFI. If you come to an NBFI, because, I mean, if the government will give me 28%, why should I take a risk? But I come to an NBFI. NBFIs borrow at around 30 plus percent. The APR, the annualized interest rate is around 70% plus. So remember that for every 100 cedis you make, you're going to pay 70% of that, 70 cedis of that as interest. And in any case, SMEs are dodgy. SME business is dodgy. So if you come to me, if I don't know you well, I won't talk to you. Number two, even if I know you, I must know your parents, your grandparents, both on the mother and father side, intimately. So for the private sector, it is serious. For every 100 cedis that you earn, you pay 70 cedis of that as interest. I see interest rates rising, especially after Q1. I see interest rates going up. And we'll come to why I think that we'll start after Q1. And in my ball, I can see some numbers that I'll share with you. I didn't say Ghana government was broke. The Bank of Ghana said Ghana government was broke. I didn't make up the borrowing figures. Ghana government made it up. But I see some numbers. I expect our treasury bill rates to go up to at least 37%. And, well, that's what I see in the ball. That's what I see. You may disagree, but that's what I see. Don't shoot the messenger. Do not shoot the messenger. Ghana government is borrowing twice as much as it borrowed the last time. And treasury bill rates have reached 26, 27. The rate at which we borrow, people are trying to sell money to us at 36%. That's the reality. I see inflation to rise. Crystal ball gazing has the effect of, it throws up these numbers. Last year I said 5. Nobody said, Thompson, how? Are you stupid? Well, I said 37. That's what I see. But I'm only the messenger. Because the Bank of Ghana has not been able to show that it can control, it can manage, it can control the government in the way it spends. And the central bank, I see, will have to support the deficit. You know, when you say it will print money, it almost is a bad word. But that's what happens. So, yeah, if somebody said, Ken Thompson said, the central bank will print money, say, why do you say that? But what else happens? They'll finance the deficit. That's what it means in English. And so you have more and more money chasing fewer and fewer goods. So inflation, 20, now it's 17, was 25. I see inflation going up high as 25%. So in the factors affecting business decisions in 2015, I've looked at Ghana government borrowing. I'm going to look at the IMF. I'll look at this. So now I'll look at the IMF. The elders in the small community, they've realized that, you know, this thing, we can't handle it. You know, we are spending above our means. We have a cocoa farm for over 100 years. That's all we have. Only 3 of us work. Nobody will lend us money. So they said, you know, okay, we have some solutions. We've all sat down, we have some solutions. We think we know what we can do. Then one of the elders remembered that they were taught by some white man a long time ago. He used to starch his shirt, you know, his shirt, white shirt. He had the brown cap, shorts, and was very, very strict. The man is dead, but one of them has contact with his daughter. So they've called his daughter to come and help them to implement their homegrown solutions. The government announced the IMF bailout for 3 reasons. And it said it wanted to stabilize the economy, stabilize CD, and reduce the fiscal deficit. Everybody knows that. And the IMF bailout was almost seen as a silver bullet. It was seen as the bullet that will solve all our problems. But I borrowed a cartoon using Anfe Patrice and what's the other guy called? It says, Anfe Christie, I need a loan to pay interest on my old loans. Anfe Christie says, you have no choice, but it's a no-paying bailout. Anfe Christie is a liar. There is not possible for us to have a bailout without no pain. It's not possible. And that you can say Ken Thompson said that. You can say, I said Anfe Christie is a liar. That one you can quote me. I expect that the first quarter in March, it will be, by first quarter, by end of March, it will be signed. But the conditionalities will be front-loaded. They will expect you to do certain things before the money comes. And it will be painful. I mean, it will be painful for a people that have been used to spending whenever we want. It's going to be painful. It has to be painful. The cash relief will be backloaded. You know, because these white people, they don't trust us. They say these Ghanaians, they are doing papa with their numbers. They don't trust us. I mean, if you go back 20 years, which of our targets have we ever met? They don't trust us. So they will front load the conditionalities, and I don't have any tracks at the World Bank. I don't. This is what the crystal ball is telling me. I don't know. I don't walk in the in the corridors of power. Cash relief will be backloaded. The government of Ghana will not meet its conditionalities. I doubt it. We're not used to doing that. So the cash relief will either be delayed or at worst withdrawn. Target, practice, and missing is what we do best. If every sentence you mention Ghana, you can put in target, missing, and it will fit. Missing targets is our middle name. We miss our targets all the time. So, but when the deal is signed, we'll all be excited. Even I, Ken Thompson, when they said IMF was coming, I said, wow, thank God. I don't know why I said wow, actually. I said, wow. Wow, you know, the IMF is coming. I mean, the IMF is not a silver bullet. But when it's signed, everybody will have a certain, there'll be a feeling of hope. But don't be fooled. As soon as it becomes obvious that the targets will not be met, there'll be a massive slowdown. So, gazing into my crystal ball, I've looked at Ghana government borrowing. I've looked at the IMF bailout. And now I'll talk about the Ghana cedi. In the Kingdom of Ghana, you know what had happened? Over time, they stopped eating gari. They don't eat brown rice. They don't even eat yam. They eat corned beef. They eat perfumed rice. Perfumed rice. Quaker oats, Indomie, pizza. My daughter says it's not pizza, pizza. Pizza, that's what I know. I say, young woman, I know it's called pizza. Pizza. That's what's been happening in the Kingdom of Ghana. Internationally, and that's one thing that we have to bear in mind. Internationally, the dollar has been appreciating. The dollar has been appreciating. If you look at this graph, between March and January 2000, March last year, January 2015, it's been appreciated because the US economy is becoming stronger. When you read reports, it says that about the only economy in the world that is motoring. And it's been given a further boost by the recent reduction in oil prices. So, The cedi, whether we did anything at all, would have depreciated. The dollar is appreciating against all the major currencies. Last year, I looked at the value of the cedi using the Big Mac index, and I'd like to spend some time talking about the Big Mac index. Mr. Thompson did not invent the Big Mac index. And people will say, but Mr. Thompson, you know, here we have KFC, here the labor price is different, labor laws are different, blah, blah, production costs. The Big Mac index is the Big Mac index. And for your information, the Big Mac index has proved more reliable than the other more sophisticated models that are around. So the Big Mac index is simple. It says that in the long run, exchange rates will move to the point where they buy an equal basket of goods and services. Exchange rates will move to the point where they buy an equal basket of goods and services. So if I take $1 in Ghana, if I take $1 in the US, and assuming that the $1 in the US in December 2014, the average price of a Big Mac in the US was $4.79. In December 2014, the average price of a Big Mac in the US was $4.79. In Ghana, if you take papaya, if you take tulip, if you take moving big, strike an average of 35 cedis. Okay. So, at the current exchange rate, which is 3.4 equals to $1, the Big Mac in Ghana is $8.09. So the Big Mac index is saying that in the long run, the price of a Big Mac in Ghana should be $4.79. That's all it's saying. So what should the exchange rate be to bring it to $4.79? That's all it is. All you have to do is if you divide this by that, it gives you this. So according to the Big Mac index, $1 should be equal to 7 cedis 30 pesos. I don't know. I don't know. Last year when I did it, it was 5 cedis 41. I don't know. This is what the Big Mac index is saying, and I didn't create the Big Mac index. Ken Thompson did not create the Big Mac index. But the challenge with our currency is that I've always said that it's overvalued. And you know, overvaluing your currency gives you a certain false confidence. And it gives you the wrong signals. When it's red, you think it's blue. When it's supposed to be amber, you think it's green. So we make all the wrong decisions. You know, when they talk about buying made in Ghana, buying made in Ghana is an economic decision. It's a simple economic decision. Until the point where Diet Coke is more expensive than Soboro, people buy Diet Coke. Until the point where it's cheaper for you to buy a carton of Ceres than to buy fresh oranges from the market, and the markets just buy you and squeeze them, people will buy Ceres. And it takes jobs away from this country. You know, you all remember we used to have Cadbury producing black and white in this country. It's cheaper for Cadbury to produce Tom Tom in Nigeria and bring it to Ghana than to produce black and white in this country. The currency is overvalued. And that's the situation we've been in, and that's the threshold we can't cross. There used to be a factory on the Spaintex Road which did Dark and Lovely. And it was a thriving business, at least from what I could see. There were people going in and out, they were bringing products in, they were bottling, selling, distributing, taking it to the different countries. Now, it's cheaper for them to bring in the products, to bring in the finished products. the cedi is overvalued. And unless we're prepared to go through the pain to correct that, we ain't going anywhere. And that's what the crystal ball is telling me. And of course, you know, if we're going to try and bring the cedi to its right value, we've got to do it with policies that also increase our exports. But there will be some pain. Of course, all the industries that are based on imports will have to collapse. And new ones based on export will have to come up. So there has to be pain. I don't know which other way to put it. So looking at the factors that are affecting business decisions in 2015, we've looked at Ghana government borrowing. I've looked at the IMF bailout. I've also talked about the value of the cedi. Ghana government borrowing. I'm trying to summarize all the things I've said. The computer ain't the problem. The software is not the problem. I expect the fiscal discipline to continue. I see T-bills at 37, inflation at 25. IMF bailout. The conditionalities will be front-loaded. No papa with the numbers. Front-loaded. If it was me, I'd do the same. The targets will be missed, and the cash relief will either be delayed or not come at all. The cedi, so somebody said this morning, Ken, and because I said cedi, I said no. I haven't said anything. All I'm telling you is looking at my crystal ball and using information that's available. The cedi, 3.4, I mean, we can all see it's climbing. 4, we'll get to 4. I mean, I can see getting to 4. I mean, my figure is 6. We are heading for a crash. We are heading for a crash. But I have one more story to tell you. So when the village woke up, the villagers woke up one morning, and the village was burning. It was burning. Fire tenders arrived. They had water. The community elders had water in their buckets. The fire hydrant was there. There was water in it. You know, this is burning. Then they started to argue among themselves. What do we do? Then somebody started praying. Another person started singing. And also, the chairman of the Neighborhood Watch Committee, who had gone through a very, very bitter battle to become elected chairman, and had recently been caught on camera sleeping, had gone on holiday. But I also have some advice for you. I mean, if you're doing a business and you're going to be earning cedis, don't take a dollar loan. It will wipe you out. We've got to really strive for operational efficiency. I mean, we're very wasteful in this country. We're extremely, extremely, extremely wasteful. It could be as simple as using your scrap paper. It could be as simple as making sure that your air conditioners are turned off when you're not in the office. It could be as simple as turning off your generator at the right time. It could be as simple as turning off the lights. We are extremely, extremely wasteful. If you're looking for money for your business, it will cost you and it will be difficult to come. It will cost you. And, you know, those that deal in luxury goods, I don't have much hope for you. Because nobody's got cash. And when you're doing your forecast, be very conservative. Be very, very, very conservative. And above all, be tight-fisted with your money. You know, a few weeks ago, yes, be tight-fisted with your money. A few weeks ago, I made a similar sort of presentation at a Rotary meeting, and it was the sort of club where you have some of the respected people in the society, you know, people that have excelled in law, academia. They really had excelled. And after I finished my presentation, Mr. Ishmael Yamson, who had become visibly shaken, was very upset. And he said that, Mr. Thompson, you are making one assumption. You are assuming that people in this country have stopped thinking. I, Ken Thompson, don't want any of my predictions to come through. I live in Ghana. I have all my interest in Ghana. My family is here. I have nowhere to go to. So, me, Ken Thompson, I have no desire for any of my predictions to come through. I can only put together information that is out there and try and make sense out of it. And I feel that I have a responsibility to speak out on the issues that matter. It's my responsibility. And remember when I started the presentation, I said one of the people that I really have liked is Martin Luther King. And I'd like to share two things that Martin Luther King said. He says, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Our lives began to end the day we become silent about things that matter. He also said, "The ultimate tragedy is not oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people." The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. The day I stop speaking, that day is when I'll be in my coffin. Thank you very much.